No doubt, Sembe Shima is here. I mean, definitely.
Yes, I mean,
left dark faces on many Nigerian fans.
It's a sad one. I wasn't born when he started playing football, or when he was.
We're not disclosing your age.
Yeah, but I mean, reading about him thanks to the internet, I read about him and I saw what he did for Nigeria and how his career progressed from the grassroots. I mean, I'm a fan of grassroots players. So it's really a bad one. I mean,
and for those of us who are a little bit older than you, we can actually testify to that.
Okay, I think, I mean,
all right, take it away.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, welcome to KAKAKI Sport. Well, indeed, it's a beautiful Monday morning, but Nigeria football community is still in mourning. However, they say life goes on, right? We will miss Christian Chukwu, but we'll try to, move on from what he left behind. And this morning on the show, we'll be looking at some of his life and time activities and perhaps what we can learn from it. And also, we'll touch on a little bit of activities that went down in the world of sport. From tennis, the Montecalo is over, and Carlos Alcaraz has won that title against Musetti. And I'll not be here alone doing all of this because I always have wingmen most of the time these days. Wingmen and wing women, hopefully one day, coming around. And this time around, this morning, I have joining me Roland Mufa. This morning, we'll be getting into all the analysis and the activities that went down in the world of sports. Roland, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sembe Chima. Thank you for having me on KAKAKI Sports this morning.
All right, indeed. Let's quickly start with one of your favorite sports that I know, and then one of your favorite guys, Carlos Alcaraz, tennis. He won the Montecalo yesterday, and your thoughts on this young lad, really, against Musetti? He came from a set down to win that.
Yeah, Carlos Alcaraz, fantastic tennis players, one of the best tennis players currently. Of course, he's a Spaniard. He just won his second title of the year 2025 against a tough and a stubborn Musetti. That's the Italian who actually won the first set. And of course, Alcaraz had to rally back to actually win that tournament yesterday. And kudos to Carlos Alcaraz, of course, for always fighting back. He's still very young, 21. He reminds me of a certain Rafael Nadal, of course, but Rafael Nadal is left-handed, while Carlos Alcaraz plays with his right hand, or should I say both hands. So it was a big one for him. And for Musetti, coming from nowhere, you think this tournament he wasn't going to progress up to this level. But when you look at how he came up from defeating top guns to actually get to the final in Monte Carlo, you always believe he had a chance. And of course, after he won that first set, you believe he has a chance. But you can't take anything away from Carlos Alcaraz, who is perhaps I see him as even the best tennis player. Of course, some people want to disagree that you have a certain Jan Steiner who is ranked #1 tennis player in the world. But kudos to Carlos Alcaraz.
And that victory for Carlos Alcaraz is his 6th ATP Masters titles trophy and his first since Indian Wells last year. Indeed, congratulations to Carlos Alcaraz. But now let's move away from that now to what is happening in Nigeria. And I'm talking about the world of football in mourning of late Christian Chukwu. Yes, indeed, the news of his passing came to us as a shock, and since then, condolences have been pouring in. Some of the first people who sending their condolences were the president of Nigeria, that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the NFF president, and of course the Enugu state governor was also one of the first people to send in their condolences. But others also spoke to AIT, and let's take a listen to this report.
Sports administrators to football legends and journalists, tributes have been pouring in as Nigerian sports fraternity turned on the mourning mode following news of the demise of Christian Chukwu, MFR, Saturday morning. Former African Footballer of the Year, Victor Ikpeba, says Chukwu impacted generations of Nigerian footballers.
Very saddened. I know him as a person, as a mentor. I think Nigeria just lost one of its greatest player and star, the first star of Nigerian football, the first captain to leave the 1980 Nations Cup 45 years ago. It's very sad. I knew he's been sick for a while. The last time I saw him, I paid a visit to him at his home in Enugu. Has been a very supportive human being, very good human being. His leadership quality. But life sometimes, we can't live forever.
There are also kind words and exciting memories for journalists like Harry Iwala, who were privileged to see a bit of Chukwu's exploits.
I grew up hearing of the name Christian Chukwu. I grew up listening to radio, hearing Ernesto Okonkwo talk about Christian Chukwu, chairman as they called him. He's a man that had this interpersonal relationship. He's somebody who cannot see angry. And most of his teammates will tell you that you never saw Christian Chukwu quarrel with anybody on the pitch. So the death's inevitable, but it came to me as a bit of a shock because I had thought that Chukwu had recovered from the last ailment that we knew he had.
Apart from captaining Nigeria to a first AFCON victory in 1980, Christian Chukwu also rose to become coach of the Super Eagles and the Harambee Stars of Kenya, as well as his club side in his playing days, Enugu Rangers International. He died at the age of 74. Edet Basi, AIT News, Lagos.
Indeed, quite a sad one there. Roland, quickly, the legend is gone, and we are mourning him right now. But your thoughts on his legacies, his time, and how we can learn from this?
Well, Christian Chukwu, of course, is known as chairman. A lot of Nigerians fell in love with him. Like you just saw the report, he doesn't quarrel with his teammates. He doesn't fight. He's just a gentleman that loves football. Of course, he also won the AFCON Cup of Nations in 1980.
The first one ever.
Yeah, in 1980 with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. So, and of course, he also coached the Super Eagles national team. We must not also forget that he also coached the Kenyan national team.
Yeah,
of course, Super Eagles national team. Just one of the sad story, as it were then, that we couldn't qualify for the 2006 World Cup. But of course, he took us to finish bronze. So we won bronze in the AFCON Cup of Nations in Tunisia. Of course, the likes of Tge Okocha, you can Joseph Yobo, Kanu Nwankwo, and the rest of them, Agawa and the rest of them. They played under his tutelage. He will be greatly missed. I also saw a post on X yesterday that's talking about Femi Otedola actually said when Christian Chukwu was sick, he was one of the persons, so he said he was going to take care of him and send him abroad to get treatment and all that. He's a legend of Nigerian football. Christian Chukwu can never be forgotten for all the good things he did for Nigerian football. I just feel sorry and I feel sad that there are talks that he's still being owed money. Of course, there is a visual of him and I also spoke, I think last year about that he's still being owed. I think for people that have made sacrifice, or for legends like Christian Chukwu that have sacrificed a lot for Nigeria and other past footballers or past athletes, we shouldn't be hearing talks of they are being owed or they are not well taken care of. There are people that have not made sacrifices for this country. This country doesn't owe them. They've made so much money, so much from this country. But for legends like Christian Chukwu that gave his all for Nigeria, and both as a professional footballer and also a coach, he gave his all for Enugu Rangers. I don't think he should be owed any money. Any money that is being owed by the Nigerian Football Federation or the Nigerian government, I think he should be paid to his family so that they can also sort out that issue. But Christian Chukwu is going to be greatly missed. He has gone to meet with the big boss, Stephen
Keshi. Right, indeed. The Enugu Rangers, our condolences goes out to the Enugu Rangers, the entire Enugu state, for missing the death of their own son, and of course to Nigeria for the death of the pride of the nation. That's how the president described him, the pride of the nation. But now this takes us to our next conversation, talking about Christian Chukwu and the local league, of course. Lobby Stars of Makurdi are now out of the NPFL, top flight, back to the NNL, should I say, return to the NNL. You saw this coming, but let me just hear you rub it in on my face and once more.
Well, mathematically, they are out of, they've left the NPFL. That's how it is after they lost them, I think 2-0 to Kano Pillars. And Mohamed Musa actually scored that first goal in that match. And I think for Lobby Stars, this season has been a torrid one for them. They've had a very terrible season from not winning matches, from not having good facilities, of course. But we know Benue State to be a state that actually loves sports and actually loves football. So I'm actually surprised. Lobby Stars have been one of the traditional teams when it comes to NPFL. Whenever you mention Nigerian football, you must always mention Lobby Stars because they've always been there. Of course, now it's time for them to go back to the drawing board to see how they can come up with the previous season, the coming up season, to see what they can actually bring to the table. But I feel so sad for them. NPFL are for serious team, and it looks like Lobby Stars are not serious. So let them go to where
that was enough rubbing in. But now let's look at the standings. Sorry to Lobby Stars fans of Lobby Stars. They will not be seeing Lobby Stars next season's NPFL football. But however, this is a time for them to go and reflect and, come back better, stronger, and even more firmer when you talk about the MPFL. But now, these were the results from March 33 in the Nigeria Premier League. And which one did it for you? Rangers lost.
Of course, the biggest winner should be Bayelsa United.
Oh, okay. I mean, the defending champions lost to Heartland FC. Heartland is so struggling right now.
Yeah, of course. It's still a Southeast derby between Rangers and Heartland. That's Enugu and, of course, Imo State. So for Heartland, it was a massive win for them, going all the way to Daniyam Stadium. Also going to Enugu, Rangers, Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu to actually get all 3 points. Big win for them. Then, of course, Abia Warriors defeating Rivers United. That's also another massive win for Abia Warriors. Yes. You also believe in Rivers United, they are pushing up the table to see what they can do. And for Imba, losing to Sunshine Stars of Vakure. For Imba, of course, they are also struggling this season, not getting the best of results. For Aqua United, another team who looks like they might be relegated. And of course, they share the spoil against Ekanemi.
City and Niger Tornadoes. And also, Nasarawa United, for some reason, they just picked form, and it seems as though they are here to stay.
Yeah, but for Nasarawa United, they've been getting this result. They've made several changes to that team, and you want to believe they feel they have what it takes to actually remain at this level, right? So getting that massive 3-2 victory against Plateau United was a big one for them. And I'm not forgetting Remo Stars, their first time in the league. They look like they are going to win the league, of course, but they fired blank against Castina United. There's a goalless draw there.
All right, so this is the match day standing after match day 33. Right now, as you can see, Lobby Stars right there written R instead, meaning relegated. Yeah. And the likes of Sunshine Stars, Aqua United, and maybe Casina United will be joining them in the coming days. But Roland, quickly, do you see Remo Stars winning this one? Just 1 minute.
Yeah, 7 points ahead of Rivers United. But I think Rivers United also dropping points this weekend. It has actually boosted the morale of Remo Stars. So I think Remo Stars is a well-drilled club, a well-tutored club, and this is their season. They'll win the Premier League for the first time in their history. All
right, fingers crossed indeed, and we'll see what happens in the coming days. Just about 6 games left to be played in the season for the Nigeria Premier League.